Hello and welcome back to the TurboSettle video series. Today we're going to show you the new and improved ChatGPT data extraction feature, which is now completely asynchronous, runs in the background, lets you do other things while it's running. First, just to familiarize you a bit with our platform, as you may know, you can set up any workflow, any objects into any tab structure that you can imagine. So in this example, we have a company that has a bunch of tabs and a few views into 1, 2, 3, 4 data models, not to be confused with the ChatGPT data model itself. We have a data model here called prospects, and we want to see every prospect that has a monthly income of at least $2,000. So we can get that, and there's 66 of them. We can go to our favorite guy, Arturo, and you see how the data lines up with data in other data model views, data objects we also call them. So specifically this guy, Arturo, has 18 accounts parsed from a credit report, and that credit report is parsed here because in this object there is a parse credit feature, which is an embedded parser that you can create yourself. And if you want to see what that looks like, you would just go into the parser settings, and you would click the settings that match the button, and these are the patterns that represent the way the data looks in the credit report. And we showed you in the past what that looks like. It was just click it. You have to get the actual report, which we actually have here from an earlier time. We can download it, so it's the first report, and we can parse it by going into downloads and parsing it, and it just brought in the data again. If it's in black, it means it's just trying to overwrite what was already there. If it's in red, it would be new or changed data. So here is the information from the credit report. Black, the date last active might not have been populated the first time we did the report, which was a while ago actually, which is another reason it might be black. Black usually refers to previously empty data, red refers to modified data. So we can also modify data like this, just by changing a number. We can erase that, clear that out, make it blank, and you can also select between all the given data that's there, or enter something else. And then you can revert back to what it was by hitting clear. Similarly, and it should just be able to go back to what it was. There we go. Similarly, we can do that here. Right click, click clear, and it repopulates what was in there before. Now, the cool thing here is the new feature we want to show you. First, one more example of just loading data. We can say we want to get all last names that are at least start with R, O, and above for whatever reason. So there's a bunch, 10,000 of them. Okay, now and they're there. Now we can clear that data. Now we're going to show you how to use ChatGPT in the background to extract data and fill missing data in your objects. So in this example, we have 1,000 banks approximately that we're bringing the data in for, and a lot of this has already been populated by ChatGPT. We started just with bank names and routing numbers, and we have all of this filled in. So okay, without further ado, we click the IQ fill, And notice how the status is new. We can either select the column we want to fill or let it fill all the missing data. So that's it. We run it, and now it's running, and we can hide it. So now it's running in the background, and as it progresses, anything that's missing here, well, we populated so much, there's not a lot missing. But here we go. Here's the beginning of the missing data. This will start to populate and turn red with new data. So as the data comes back, and if we want to see our progress or work on other things, we can. And when we come back to this to see our progress, we go into IQ fill again, and look at this. We're already on request number 3, which means at least 10 have been processed. Let's see. If you look here, we see data has come in for source bank, okay, and community bank. And here's another one that came back. Once again, we can hide it and go and look at the new data for, say, community bank. So let's sort and find, and here it is. There's a lot of new data. Here's one for source. It was empty. That's why it's black now, because previously it was empty. In the cases where it's red, you'll see it's changed, or vice versa. One of the colors refers to previously empty data. One of the colors refers to changed data. And there it is. And so we could just upload the changes. 60 records have been changed, or we could wait till it's finished. Or we can go back in and responsibly stop the process for a moment, close it, and now it says process no longer running. We stopped the process at request number 11, so the 12th one was not attempted. Actually, yeah, it looks like another one had been running and just came back. So response number 12 is the last one we see here. Notice also when there's an error, if the data is not in the right format for our system, ChatGPT is not perfect, as we know. It will refuse the data, which is exactly what we want. So the process is stopped, and now we can responsibly add the new data that's come in. How many records do we have now? Let's see. 20 records appear new. Do you want to add them now? 90 records in total will be added or edited with new data. That's a new message. That's interesting. 20 records appear new. So is it possible that it actually brought in new data when we've instructed it only to use data that had bank IDs? In this case, it's either redundant data or it added new bank IDs, and that's pretty amazing, actually, unless it's redundant. Either way, it's interesting. It's telling you that hey, you know, the new data ChatGPT just extracted is not just edits of existing records, but hey, we've got some new records here, and in some cases they might be redundant, but in other cases, the same bank names exist in different states, but they have different addresses, and they're actually different banks. So upon your review, if you click OK, so now we're going to add 90 records, 20 of which are new. And this is interesting because it shows you the power of TurboSettle. You can see how each different records can have different features. Some can be new, some can be just changed, edited data. And if we click OK, let's see if it works. And it did work, actually. It said 20 were not found, 90 merged. This, instead of showing you the actual query, shows the prepared statement, which means it's a much more secure method. Prevents injection attacks, and it was successful. So we can reload. There's now, before there were 1,006 banks. As you can see, now there's 1,025. We can reload, which gets rid of all the red and black, telling us that the data is now safe at the provider. And The provider is set in the provider setting. You can choose from a number of providers, and you can set up your own API keys to those providers. And then, as we've showed you in prior videos, we have special extra layer of protection, including data, passkeys for data and passkeys for files. Encryption before it leaves your local machine. And let's see, there was what we wanted to show you earlier was our linking. Oh, anyway, now that that's done, before we go into linking, let's go back into IQFill and resume. We stopped at request 13, so we want to continue. There were 103 requests total. That means there were 103, 10 in each. There was at least a bunch that did not have, that had missing data, a bunch of records that had at least one column with missing data. So it's attempting to fill that. We can hide this. Okay. Hide button, not perfect. We can hide that, and we can go back into prospects and show you how linking works. So back to our favorite guy, Arturo. We are focused on him, and that message again just shows that, hey, we're running ChatGPT in the background, and there was something that wasn't in the right format, and we're not going to save that. It's good to show you that as it happens. So the link between one data object and another is set through the link settings. And here you can see there's a child relationship where the accounts table is a child of the prospects table. That means, hey, you might have a bunch of accounts that pertain to you. So let's set up this relationship so that when we focus a different person, all their accounts will also focus. And it's as simple as just setting up the links here. We have call logs as well. We'll show you how the calling feature works in another video. And you could see what they're related on. Each one of these are a select showing a drop down showing all of the possible fields and names. My video recording software doesn't show you what's in the select, although you of course see it when you're using the system. All the possible fields for each of the objects you set up yourself. So we want to unfocus Arturo and look at all of them again. And you notice if we focus on somebody else, hey, this data disappears. All right. So what remains are these edit cells that pertain to the last client, but you can see all the actual data disappeared because there is no data for these other test people. Okay, so we're back to checking out how our IQFill is doing, and we are now on request number 34. So very cool. And let's see, is there new data? Of course there is. Oh, I just have to find it. Let's see. Okay, there's one. And there's a few more. Harder to find now because it's mostly done. Most of the data has been populated already. But we can see anything that's not blue is new data. So very exciting to see that as it comes in. Okay, thank you for watching. We will see you next time. We're going to go over other ways to edit objects, the old-fashioned way, actually selecting one The Bank of New York data is new, so some of the data is new. But you can go in here, click edit, and edit data, and you can set up these fields as you want. Some of the data might be editable, some of it not. If you make a change, like change the state, New York 1 instead of New York, and click upload, it tells you, hey, you can't upload these changes without a street address 2. It's required. Well, we don't really want to require street address 2, so all we would have to do is modify the object by clicking it and going into the object itself and say, hey, right here in our mode string, just let's make it so that when we're editing the object, we don't want to make it required, so that number would change, and all to what to change it to is shown in the instructions just by hovering over the mode. So there are a lot of protection mechanisms you can have in place for your own workflow. Okay, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.